starts playing every time now. Anyway, it's weird. And there was some people commenting and saying they didn't like country music, and I was offended. I don't listen to it all the time, but like it's just a thing. Anyway, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I hope to answer yet again a lot of your guys' questions that I get in my DMs and my comments and stuff like that. It's obviously a lot easier for me to just make a video about it instead of individually replying to like hundreds of you guys. It's not gonna work out. It's not time efficient. So in today's video, you can tell by the title, we are going to be going over everything you need to know before STI swapping your Subaru. Now I'm leaving it pretty vague. You can obviously STI swap a Forester, STI swap WRX, you can do all that stuff. It's pretty much the same, pretty much puzzles all the way around. But there was a lot of things that I didn't know before getting into the swap that are slightly different, that I think that you guys should know before getting into it. And that's obviously going to, add to the price and whatnot. That's another question that I get a lot. I did make a completely separate video. I think I know how to add like a tab to like a different video that I made of like a breakdown of like the price. That was pretty close to how much it is. Maybe like give or take like a few $100s. But it's thousands to swap it like properly. So I have a complete separate video for price breakdown, but I'll give you guys a random just once we get to the spot that I'm gonna start recording for real. But yeah, there's little ins and outs that I definitely wasn't aware of before doing so, and I think this video is going to help you guys out if you guys are interested in swapping your Subaru. So we're going to go ahead, cruise over to one of my favorite spots, and get this video going. Okay, so I have in my notes here things that I want to go over, or things that stood out to me that I feel like would give you guys some value. So number one is the price of the entire thing. Two is the cluster, I'll tell you in a second. The DCCD, do you want it or do you don't? The hubs and the wheel options that you get from doing the 5x114. The axles, aka tone rings that I had an issue with. The STI has shorter gearing compared to a WRX. Also the front suspension is different and the rear suspension is the same, at least for the GD. So that's essentially the main points that we're gonna go over. So initially going into the price. So for me personally, my swap, everything included, I think I'm honestly pushing towards like 10,000. I'm be real, and that's not necessarily just like the drivetrain itself. The drivetrain was about 2,000, but then you start adding all these little things, and you'll see what I mean when I start telling you. So as far as the drivetrain stuff, is 04 STI swap, and just for the entire driveline, 90,000 miles, I think I spent $2,000 on that. Right, so that's the initial fee. But then you start breaking it down and okay, am I gonna use the flywheel that I got with that in the clutch? No, I'm gonna upgrade that. So then I had to do a clutch, which was like $600. And then I had to get a new flywheel, which was a couple $100. And then I took apart the brakes completely. And then I was like, well, am I gonna use these rotors? No, I'm already here. Might as well get new pads, get new rotors, get new lines. It's just because all the parts that I had out already, I've been through it with like my engine stuff. It's like, while you're in there, you might as well replace it, or at least that's pretty much how my mind works. So then things start adding on, and then obviously I had to get the wheels, which is a huge part of that $10,000, which were about $3,000. Or actually there were 2,700 hooked up from my friend, and then also doing that, I had to get tires. Or initially I was thinking I have to get tires, but I just stole the tires from AMEs. What is a little thing that I have to do? And then random little fluids, got to do the differential change, how to do the transmission fluid, had to do, what else did I have to do? Little bushings here and there, maybe like shifter linkage bushings. Also slave cylinder, different, had to upgrade that. And then I want to say that's pretty much it. It's little things here and there. Obviously, you guys don't need to spend all that money. You don't need to get the wheels. You don't need to get all like the best things. But that was just personally how much I pretty much spent. I think was around the 10K mark, maybe 9. But then again, it wasn't just like I had that. It wasn't just like I boom had the idea and the next day I decided to send it. I literally saved up for so long to be able to do the thing that I did. I just did it in a short amount of time because I was saving up for that long. There's definitely cheaper ways that you can get it done. You don't need to necessarily get a USDM 6-speed. You can get a JDM one, which is a little bit cheaper, and if it's a non-DCCD, you could honestly probably pick one of those 6-speeds up for maybe like $1,500, $1,600, depending on where you get it from. But price, obviously a huge thing. Is it worth it? It's definitely up to you. So now moving inside the car, we can talk about the cluster and things that you probably didn't know. So this cluster here is an 04 STI cluster, And with that being said, it's a direct plug and play for the WRX, right? It's pretty much the same. Now the only issue is this is a 2006 WRX. Now what I didn't know is I have an ABS light on, right? And I figured out why is because the 2006 WRX is actually a reverse polarity compared to the 2004 STI and the earlier WRXs. I want to say 2005 is when the cutoff is. WRX or STI, doesn't matter, I'm pretty sure. So with that being said, I have an ABS light because the cluster itself and the car, the ABS module, is reversed. So it thinks when it's on, it's off, or when it's grounded, it's not. Pretty much that's why I have an ABS light. And that's something that I didn't know. So although being an advantage of having a 2004 STI cluster, it's a direct plug and play, the disadvantage is the fact that it's a reverse polarity for the ABS module, and you will have an ABS light, which does kind of suck. But what you can do is there's these things on the forum that I want to see if I can get into, and you pretty much have to wire up a relay and trick it and like think it's grounded when it's not, or something like that. And so there is a way to get around it, but that's one thing that I didn't know, that you guys probably didn't know either. So figure that out. But so just thought I would let you know. And another thing, kind of going back into the fact that you could get a little bit cheaper route and get a non-DCCD JDM STI 6-speed, which is a little bit cheaper because obviously it doesn't have the center differential control. So with this one, I would, I don't think, I'm sure someone has done it, but actually took the DCCD from an STI and put it into a WRX. I want to say the ECU is different, STI to WRX. I mean, I'm pretty damn sure it is different, and I think you actually need the STI ECU to do the DCCD from an actual STI. So there's a company called DCCD Pro, which is what I have, and you can hook it up with the OEM buttons, which is exactly what I did. I get a lot of questions on it, so you can actually use these buttons. You know, these are obviously OEM, and I actually had heated seats here before, but they plop right in, wire right up to my DCCD Pro, which is actually hidden behind here. You guys actually might be able to see it? Nah, okay, I'm not gonna do it. Anyway, it's right behind there. There's my DCCD Pro, it's hidden, and you can actually control all that stuff over there. So a little bit more expensive, but if you want to be able to use the DCCD, obviously you need that aftermarket thing, which is going to be a little bit more expensive. So a huge reason why I did the STI swap is the 5x114. I wanted the 5x114 hubs, and what that's actually going to do, if you guys are just getting into cars, you're going to know that 5x114 is very popular, and a lot of wheel manufacturers make a lot of wheels for it. And that was an issue I was running into, me being flared. I was having an issue trying to find 5x100 wheels that fit my flares perfectly. I didn't want to use a spacer. I wanted to be able to just use a nice company, you know, like a Rays or something like that, and get the wheels that I wanted. And I wanted it for a real long time, so that's definitely an advantage of having STI drivetrain. But of course, your boy messed up, so I don't want you guys to mess up. And why I say that is, look at that, let me just chillax. Why I say that is, I told you guys in the beginning of the video, I bought an 04 STI drivetrain. I didn't think that it would actually be different. I knew 04 STIs had 5x100, but when I bought the drivetrain, I bought everything but the knuckles, because I bought separately Brembos and 5x114 knuckles. Now I'll tell you what the issue I ran into. We all know Subarus are puzzles, and I thought it would just go together perfectly. But an issue that I had was in 04 STI, the front axles are, I want to say, the exact same as the WRX. And what I mean by that is the tone ring is actually about an inch different, right? So I would have had an ABS light if I ran the 04 STI axles that came with my drivetrain. So I'm telling you guys ahead of time, if you're wanting to do a 5x114 bolt pattern, you should know ahead of time that the 5x114 hubs that you're going to get and swap over for your STI drivetrain, get an 05 to an 07 STI drivetrain. It's going to link up perfectly, obviously, because the 05 to 07 STI comes 5x114, and the axles are going to be exactly what you need, because separately I had to buy, again, axles from an 05 to an 07 STI for the front. So that's going to be an issue. I'm just letting you guys know. I didn't know that before, so I had to spend even more money on that. So I kind of wish I didn't buy an 04 STI drivetrain. I got a pretty good deal on it, or at least I thought. And but I didn't know that. I didn't know that it doesn't link up perfectly to the 5x114 in the front. So it's definitely some more information that will probably help you guys out. So just saying, if you're going to swap it, get a 05 to 07, less headaches if you want that 5x114. Another thing that is different, if you already have coilovers for your WRX and you want to switch over to STI, go to the 5x114, then the front suspension is different. Now the only difference is the fact that the lower portion, that the 2 bolts that go and attach to the 5x114 hub, it's actually fatter. The bolt distance isn't farther apart, I thought it was, but it's actually fatter. The knuckle itself, where that little part goes down and attaches, hopefully I can pop up a picture, it's different. So what I had to do is I had to contact Bag Riders and I had to get the STI version of that lower part of the strut. So if you have coilovers and they're like buildable, or you can, you know, move the collar all the way down, you might be able to just get that lower portion. Or if you're in the market for coilovers and you also want to do an STI drivetrain, I would wait and buy coilovers for an STI because they're actually different than a WRX. So that's another difference. The rear was the exact same for me. I'm not too sure, maybe like Forester might be different or something like that, but at least for my WRX 6.7, the rear suspension is the same. I want to say all GDs is the same, WRX STI, but could be wrong. I'm just saying 6.7, the same. So I think that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I hope I covered all the little details of should you or should you not STI swap your car. It's pretty much everything I think you need to know before getting into it. You know, the price, the little ins and outs, the axle differences, the fact that you should definitely get it 05 to 07 if you want 5x114. You know, there's definitely a lot of different STI swaps you could do. It's not just one. That's kind of the point I wanted to get across. You could do it for a lot cheaper. And if you just want, you know, the power that the 6-speed can handle, I would go ahead and maybe just keep 5x100, go with the JDM one, the non-DCCD, and you'll still have a 6-speed. You know, you won't have all those little bells and whistles with the DCCD, but it's honestly pretty much the same thing. That's kind of like the main point I wanted to get across. You could do it for a lot cheaper. You don't need to go the route that I went. All depends on personal preference. And that's another point I want to get across is, I know that you guys, this is kind of just like separate, but I get a lot of messages of like, what should I do this, what should I do that, and I think it's awesome that you guys, like, you know, value my opinion, you guys want my opinion, but at the same time, like, a point that I want to get across to you guys is build your car for yourself. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of maybe modifications that I have done to my car that, you know, a lot of people might not agree with, but it's for me. You know, I built my car for me, and everything I've done to it, you know, down to the wheels, the seats, the color combination, everything is for me, you know. And I think that's like, it's a major point that I want to get across. It's not necessarily even just modifying your car. It's every aspect of your life. You got to do whatever makes you happy, you know, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. But you have to make sure you keep your happiness in front of, you know, making someone else happy just so they don't make fun of you, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like, it's a theory that I want to get out there. It's something that I want to put across in my videos is, you know, build your car for yourself, and don't do it for anyone else. Don't do it for Instagram. Don't do it to impress your friends. Do it because, you know, it makes you happy. That's kind of the whole point. That's the whole point of my build. Look, my car brings me so much happiness, and I'm happy, you know, brings you guys happiness as well. But I think I'm pretty much just rambling at this point. You know, just because I do it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you guys have to do it, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I think I'm making sense. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.